Settle down with your popcorn. It's time for the 10 best silver screen-inspired PC games you can play right now. We've all got our favourite movie video game from our formative years, but if we're honest, the humble tie-in has never had a very good reputation. For every Spider-Man 2, there were 3 Superman N64s, and the official video game adaptations quickly died out as a business model. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some brilliant games with their roots in cinema. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has just arrived after all. For this list though, just to make things difficult for ourselves, we've selected titles that you don't have to find SCART to HDMI adapters to play. From crossing HD streams and building magic to found footage frightmares, here are the 10 best games based on movies that you can play on PC right now. On the surface, the remastered version of Ghostbusters the video game might just look like a glossy lick of HD slime over a mediocre film tie-in. However, look harder and you'll find that this is the closest the world has ever got to an official Ghostbusters 3. Starring the original actors and even script doctored by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, this 2009 actioner actually dives deeper into the lore of the first 2 movies, giving us the origin story of the librarian ghost and a look at alternate dimensions that were originally going to be a part of Ghostbusters 3. It's not genre-defining elsewhere, point laser at ghosts and shoot, but there are some lovely touches that fans of not crossing the streams will love. Your full HUD lives on your proton pack as a set of flashing lights. And there's nothing more satisfying than throwing down a trap and steering a spectre inside. Job done.
Ghostbusters, we're ready to believe you.
There have been plenty of attempts over the years to deliver John Hammond's dream in video game form, but few have hit the Triceratops on the head like Jurassic World Evolution. A clear labour of love from the intricate DNA menus upward, this is an in-depth zoo sim with killer bite. We've seen plenty of T-Rex-based entertainment since Spielberg's original creature feature, but crafting your very own Jurassic Park is a 90s kid dream come true, with every dinosaur looking and acting just as you'd expect. While on one hand, this means you'll enjoy watching each giant exhibit exit the lab with a customary roar, it also means you'll be peering through your fingers when you didn't fulfill a velociraptor's needs, or crucially, open the shelters as fast as you should have. Life, it seems, always finds a way. Again. And again.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be advised that our weather forecasts predict an incoming storm.
As discovered by Prometheus and Alien Covenant, it's not easy to make an intense xenomorph experience, even if you are Ridley Scott. It's incredible then that Alien Isolation doesn't just manage to be scary, but genuinely one of the most exhilaratingly terrifying survival horror games of all time. Playing as Ripley's daughter Amanda exploring the Sevastopol space station, Alien Isolation is a dangerous game of cat and mouse as you scurry under desks and into lockers with only a tracker for any idea where the xenomorph might appear next. If you've already played and want to know more, we broke down exactly why the experience is so utterly terrifying in our video about the way games cheat to make you feel better. Although, in this case, the developers want you to feel worse. So much worse. It's not a direct adaptation of the Tom Hardy Charlize Theron petrol fest, but Avalanche Studios' Post-Apocalypse was inspired by the original movies, and series creator George Miller was consulted during Mad Max's development. That makes it official enough for us, and this is a surprisingly solid open-world adventure. On the ground, combat is brutal fun as Max thuds goons into the sand and performs shiv finishers. Ooh, ouch. But the real star here is the magnum opus, the wheels that you're constantly upgrading to create the car equivalent of John Wick. As an aside, Max loves canines just as much. Anyway, whether you're sending harpoons to steal vital car parts from goon vehicles, or just thundering across the wasteland, careening into convoys to send them exploding in fireballs, Mad Max's car combat constantly feels fresh and exciting. Plus, it means there's always something to do between the collecting scrap and, well, eating dog food. Surely this is just meant for Dinky D. And it's time to use the Force. The latest lightsaber-starring game comes from none other than Titanfall devs Respawn Entertainment. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was kept under lock and key for its connections to the wider Star Wars universe. But, among many things, this is the galaxy's glossiest Metroidvania. We're put in the boots of fresh Jedi Cal Kestis, who gradually unlocks more and more powers, letting us journey deeper into the expansive, beautiful world. And if you're already making lightsaber noises, I'll just leave it to the real thing. It's important to note that the combat here isn't just about button bashing. You'll need to become a true Jedi to know when to properly strike and defend, bringing a much more Sekiro or Bloodborne feel to proceedings. Throw in some serious puzzling and you're going to have to test all of your wits against Fallen Order. And hey, if you're not a fan, there's still always Knights of the Old Republic.
No, we are not doing that again.
Let's face it, this could just be a full list of LEGO games, which I have made and you should watch on the link on screen once this video's finished. But when diabolical movie tie-in experiences thankfully dried up, TT Games sneaked in with a pile of plastic bricks and started to construct the games that we'd always deserved. While the original blocky Star Wars titles deserve a nod, the true Triwizard champions are LEGO's Harry Potter Years 1 to 4 and 5 to 7 respectively. The original movie adaptations were memorable back in the day, but here we're gifted a fully interactive Hogwarts, complete with everything that makes the series so magical. And the now standard, charming LEGO humour all at the same time. J.K. Rowling's world building means that even in plastic form, Harry & Co.'s magical realm is just fun to wander around in, and obviously destroy at the same time. Sometimes it's just important to find an excuse to feature a gaming experience that let me don a hockey mask and drown Matt once. Don't worry though, that's not the only reason to play Friday the 13th, although it is a good one. Also featured on our best asymmetrical multiplayer games list, Jason's Stabtacular Adventures are pure catnip for horror fans. Not only are there multiple versions of the murderous mummies boys to play as, each with their own specific powers and weaponry, the counsellors on the pointier side of proceedings are equally fun to play. Each adheres to their own teen horror tropes, complete with strengths and weaknesses that will perfectly answer that how would I die in a horror movie question. Throw in the perfect soundtrack and signature kills mocapped by none other than Jason actor Kane Hodder, and Friday the 13th is the ultimate slasher game to play with friends. And, well, enemies.
That's my boy. Hunt them down.
Okay, first off, I promise we're very aware that Lord of the Rings is based on a book, so there's no need to get your mithril in a twist. But it's important to note that Middle-earth sequel Shadow of War just wouldn't have its Jackson-esque aesthetic and English orcs if it wasn't for the hairy-footed film franchise. Now available in a definitive edition with all 4 expansions included, the adventures of Talion are defined by the tantalising Nemesis system. Just imagine the hardest boss you've ever battled in a game, remembering every individual time that they murdered you and taunting you with it. And that alone is reason enough to head into this world of elves and orcs. This time it's personal just doesn't cover it as you hunt down the reason for your multiple demises. With these grand battles of the wills set amidst an atmospheric Middle-earth, this is definitely enough to keep you away from the extended edition Blu-rays for at least another 50 hours. It's been 2 decades since the original found footage phenomenon, but let's all be honest, that doesn't make the Blair Witch any less scary in 2019. The evil that lurks in the Burkittsville woods has always been there in the backs of our minds. And it turns out that all we need is layers of fear developer Bloober Team to take our hands and lead us back into the darkness. Sure, it starts off nice and bright. Hello, Bullet, aren't you a good boy? Oh, I really don't want to die. But before long, this hardened ex-cop on the hunt for a missing child starts experiencing the true horrors hiding amidst the trees. The stick figures are still terrifying, and yes, somehow you're going to become the one desperately running through the trees with a camera when you hear a tiny noise echoing out of the darkness. And when you do inevitably end up in that house, just stay out of the corners, eh? And finally, for a movie franchise bursting with such explosive action and set pieces, not to mention good doggos, it was a surprise to see the first John Wick game airing on the strategy side of things. Then you go hands-on with John Wick Hex, and suddenly it all makes sense. It turns out that our dog-loving mega murderer is always 8 steps ahead. Sure, it looks like he's just reacting to what's happening at that exact moment, but step back and you'll see it's all a carefully choreographed dance of death. Something that Hex promises too. Planning out your every move using the time bar at the top takes a bit to get used to. But like a Keanu Reeves flavoured Superhot, suddenly it all makes sense. There'll be plenty of mistakes as you work out exactly what you can achieve in mere seconds, but the first time you take down a stack of goons in a heartbeat feels truly victorious.
Tick-tock, Mr. Wick.
So that's the 10 best silver screen related games on PC that you can play right now. Let us know if we missed your favourite Oscar contender in the comments below, drop us a sticky popcorn covered thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe to Logitech G for more lists just like this one. If you do already subscribe, hit that notification bell to make sure you know when our next video lands.